Well, it looks like we have a good group with us now. We have some more people coming in. I wanted to welcome everybody before we get started. My name is Amanda Fisher-Penner. I'm here at the Miller Group. We're glad you could join us today. I have just a couple housekeeping items to go over real quick. As you've seen, we are recording today's session. Everyone who registered for today's webinar will get a follow-up email with a link to the recording. So watch for that to come through. And then everyone is muted. So Tracy's presentation will take roughly 30 minutes or so, and then we'll have time for questions at the end. So if during Tracy's presentation you find you would like to ask a question, please send those over to me through the Zoom chat, and then she'll answer questions at the end. So without further ado, I have the honor of introducing Tracy. Tracy Johnson is our Director of Pharmacy Benefits here at the Miller Group. Clients get to work with Tracy to help drive down their pharmacy costs that are embedded within your healthcare expenses. And on average, pharmacy costs take up about 30% of your total healthcare expenses. So it's a really important topic. So we're glad you're here today. Tracy has a really diverse background that includes working for pharmacy providers. So she understands all sides of the pharmacy world and how to best advocate for our clients. Without anything else, I will pass over to Tracy.
Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to the seminar today. I'm going to talk about the Ozempic effect and how it is navigating the impact of weight loss drugs on your plan. This category of medication is what experts are calling a game changer. They're saying that this has opened the door to all kinds of new weight loss options, weight loss drugs that will be available in the marketplace. There's several in the pipeline that we'll talk about, and I'm really excited that you're here today. So you may wonder why you're hearing so much about Ozempic, and it's just, I think it's just all over the place. Ozempic has really exploded onto the scene. I think social media is a big reason we're all hearing about it. Also, we're hearing a lot about it on the news. People like Elon Musk and Kim Kardashian are talking about it on TikTok. We're hearing about it in our industry for health insurance because of the off-label prescriptions that have been happening. I know it was about last spring, I was at my doctor's office and she came in the room and she was flustered and upset because there was a shortage of Ozempic because of off-label prescribing, and her patients that needed it the most weren't able to get it. So that is another big reason we're hearing so much about it. Chelsea Handler, I like to laugh about her. She was on Jimmy Kimmel and talking about, she didn't even know she was on Ozempic. The Ozempic called semaglutide. She knew she was on semaglutide. She had no idea what it was. Her anti-aging doctor prescribed it. It was being prescribed off label. And, that's just an example of how many celebrities, I guess you could say, are out there talking about the drug and that we're on the drug. Then we're hearing a lot about it in the news as far as drug shortages are concerned. I know a lot of our clients, their employees haven't been able to get Ozempic because of drug shortages. So there's a lot going on as far as noise about this drug. So before we move on, I would like to take a quick poll, and I was hoping that you would share with me, if you have received any noise or complaints from your employees who have been denied coverage for Ozempic.
Tracy, we have about 51% say no and 49% say yes.
Okay. That doesn't surprise me. I would say about half of our clients are I'm hearing from them that their employees are upset, concerned, confused about why they can't get Ozempic covered. It's not too awfully surprising. When the shortages happened, it was kind of obvious or more obvious that there was some off-label prescribing going on. And the off-label prescribing, it just means that a drug is being prescribed for a reason that's different than why it was approved or what its intended use. So when the drug shortages started to happen, I think that's about the same time insurance companies and pharmacy benefit managers started to kind of crack down on what was going on with that, with the off-label prescribing. So when you have an employee that is trying to get Ozempic, there's some extra hoops that they have to go through, and it happens on the other side. It's where the insurance company or the pharmacy benefit manager is reaching out to the doctor, and they're asking for chart notes from the doctor to see if there's been a diagnosis for diabetes. They want to see if there's been a history of other medications that this person has taken for diabetes. So those are the big things that they're looking for. And if without that confirmation of those two items, then the drug is denied, because then at that point it looks and feels like it's being prescribed off label for weight loss. Okay. I want to talk about what semaglutide is. So Ozempic is the brand name for semaglutide. This is a pretty technical slide, but I think it's important. Semaglutide is a part of a drug class known as glucagon peptide or GLP-1 agonists. This helps your body produce insulin, and it interacts with your brain to reduce your appetite. So you feel full when you're on this medication, which is part of why it helps reduce weight. It is a synthetic form of a naturally occurring hormone. So while it's not a weight loss drug, when it's used in conjunction with diet and exercise, it can reduce weight. It can reduce the risk of cancer, reduce the risk of diabetes and heart disease for people who are obese or overweight. And I think the term obese is kind of interesting, because body mass index doesn't always mean someone's obese. So there are parameters there when prescribing the medication. We'll get to that pretty soon. So there was a UCLA study, and it reported that people in the study, after 3.5 months using semaglutide, half of the participants lost 15% of their body weight. So this is a medication that is really working, and it's really working. It's really important for people who need it. Another interesting fact, a medical director of a prominent hospital said when GLP-1s were first discovered, he said people could not have predicted the drug could be manipulated to reduce this type of weight loss. So it's really, when we talk about it being a game changer, it really is. So there are only 2 GLP-1 drugs approved for weight loss so far. Wegovy is one that that one's really prevalent right now. Wegovy is the sister drug to Ozempic. They have different dosing requirements, but it's the same active ingredient. It's semaglutide. It is the first GLP-1 approved for weight loss since 2014, and that was Saxenda that you see here. So the results are very similar in the fact that weight loss is about 15% when you're taking the drugs. A big difference you can see, Wegovy is a weekly injection. It stays active in your system for about a week. Saxenda is a daily injection. So because of convenience and it's a lot more tolerable for folks to take Wegovy. So where that's the drug that we're really seeing people are wanting to get the most. Being an injection, I think having to just do it once a week is a lot better for a lot of people than having to do it every day. It's something else that I think is really surprising is that analysts project that sales of Wegovy for 2023, so we still have a couple of months to go, could top $4 billion. So I mentioned there are weight loss drugs in the pipeline. Wegovy and Saxenda are just the tip of the iceberg. There are dozens more in the pipeline. I listed a few here that are getting close to approval. Tirepatide is one that is it's being currently, I mean, it's getting close to being approved. It is, you may recognize it. Its brand name is on the for diabetes is Mounjaro. So it's going to be a lot like Ozempic and Wegovy was. So Mounjaro is seeking FDA approval for their weight loss version. That FDA approval could come as soon as the end of 2023. So we're really watching that. It's going to be a weekly injection, just like Wegovy. Rybelsus is a drug that is currently approved for type 2 diabetes. In January, it was approved for type 2. In January, it was approved as a first line option. And now they're seeking FDA approval for this drug to be also approved for weight loss. What is interesting about this one and a couple of other ones in the pipeline, these are daily tablets. So it's going to be a lot easier for people to get access to them, to want to take them, to remain compliant with them. So we're waiting for approval on that one. I want to mention that when I first heard about these daily tablets, I thought it was going to open the door. It may open the door further for more people to want to get on the medication. But I was afraid that the cost would be just outrageous with the daily tablet. And I'm reading that it's actually going to be less expensive to manufacture. It's less complicated. So we're hoping that we see the prices of this oral, possibly for Rybelsus and some of the other ones coming down, that they'll be less expensive than what we're seeing for the injections. And then the last one I want to talk about is retatrutide. This is also a weekly injection. This one just started phase 3 trials at the end of August. So we've got some time to wait on this one. But I wanted you guys to know that Eli Lilly is the manufacturer of this particular drug. Through August, so just, a few days ago, so far they have spent $2.4 billion to make this drug and others. So they acquired a couple of companies, and they're just gung-ho to get this out in the market. So if they're spending that type of money and putting that type of investment in there, you know that this is just going to explode. So before we move on, I'd love to hear if your company is currently covering weight loss drugs. Okay, it looks like we have just about everybody that wanted to participate in this question. So about 7% of you are saying, yes, your plan is covering weight loss drugs. 55% of you are saying, no, we're not. And then 38% of you are unsure, which is where I would think a lot of people would fall into that category. The International Foundation of Employee Benefit Plans released a survey, and according to the survey participants, there are 470 employers, 22% are covering weight loss drugs now. and 25% are saying that obesity has the biggest impact on their healthcare costs. So talking about those really do go hand in hand, and we'll talk about some pros of why you might want to consider covering weight loss drugs, and then some drawbacks to why you may want to not cover them or wait and see what's going to happen. Okay, so here we've got, and there are many, many more. These are some that I feel that are important that can come to the top of the list. But when you're thinking about covering weight loss medications, so Wegovy, and others like it that are going to be coming down the pipeline, they cut the risk of cardiovascular events. So they're cutting the risk of heart attack and stroke and diabetes and heart disease. So there are a lot of really great reasons that you might want to consider that it will help your overall healthcare spend if you're controlling those types of risk factors with the medication. So you're not going to see the results of these diseases pop up somewhere else on your medical plan or in the form of additional drugs. So Novo Nordisk, the maker of Wegovy, in a study said that it is reducing the risk of cardiovascular events by 20%. It reduces the risk of obesity, like we talked about earlier. Employers said that that's responsible for 25% of their healthcare costs, and obesity is responsible for a lot of chronic health conditions that we just talked about, and medical costs associated with obesity are exceeding $250 billion annually. So this is a big deal. This is an important subject that we need to talk about. And historically, people have not, experts, professionals, healthcare folks have not thought of obesity as a disease. They've thought of it more as a lifestyle, a result of a lifestyle or a choice, and really it's exciting to me that whole, everyone's looking at it in a different light, as I think it should be. What I wanted to mention, just because someone wants to get on a weight loss drug does not mean they can. So, back to Chelsea Handler, Kim Kardashian, they were taking semaglutide. I think Kim Kardashian said she was taking it for a photo shoot to get her waist as small as possible. I hear people, I don't know if they're joking or not, that, want to take it because they have a trip to Mexico coming up. This is a long-term play. If someone is going to start taking this medication, they need to take it long-term with diet and exercise. It's not just a quick fix, but there's criteria associated with getting this medication, even if you cover it under your pharmacy plan, under your insurance plan. There's still criteria that needs to be followed and that exists. There are certain body mass index parameters that are looked at. They also look at existing conditions such as heart disease, diabetes, sleep apnea. They want to see what else is going on with a person, not just wanting to lose a few pounds. It's a medication that is really watched carefully through clinical channels. It's something that a person also needs to be committed to lifestyle adjustment. So again, diet and exercise. So when you're thinking about whether or not you're covering it or you might want to cover it, know that you're not just opening the floodgates. There's still a lot of things in the background that have to happen before somebody can get on the medication. Okay, so talked about why you might want to consider it. Let's talk about why you might want to exclude it or hold off. Like I talked about before, you've got to be committed to this whole idea of medication and lifestyle changes. If you stop taking the drug, the weight can return. I've read that it will return, so that's not a big surprise. That's kind of the way with anything. There are side effects that you may have heard about. There was a woman from Louisiana that filed a lawsuit against the maker of Ozempic. She was taking Ozempic for about a year and started having all kinds of side effects and complications. She had what is called a frozen stomach. Her stomach froze, her digestion, all of it just wasn't working. She claimed that Ozempic caused her severe vomiting, stomach pain, and hospitalization on several occasions. So, you know, when we talk about treating the known side effects, may lead to additional planned costs. So this woman was hospitalized and incurred a lot of additional costs for these side effects. Not that severe vomiting and stomach pain, not that that's bad enough, but she also said her teeth were falling out due to excessive vomiting. And that one I just can't stand. But you look at all of this and really this is one example. I know on the label, on the prescribing, it lists all the side effects, and it's like anything you see on a commercial. They list what the drug does, and then the side effects that may occur. That list goes on and on. So this is just like that. It's no different. But the other thing that she's claimed in her lawsuit is she also had to be prescribed additional medication to alleviate the excess vomiting and throwing up. She said she was throwing up whole foods after eating. So she wasn't even digesting them at all. So hopefully that's an isolated incident, but it's so shocking I had to share it for an example. And then once you open the door, once you decide to cover weight loss drugs, so it's a big category, right? And once you decide to cover them, as these new drugs become available and approved and developed, you're opening the door for those drugs to be approved as well. People would still have to meet the criteria, but it's something to think about. And I don't know if it's here for you to look at, but the cost for the medication right now is about $1,300 for a month's supply. And that's on the injectable version. Like I said, hopefully the daily tablet will be less expensive, but to be determined. So you may be asking yourself, how can you help your employees get access or help them in general if you don't cover weight loss drugs? I know it's hard when you have an employee come to you and ask why they can't get a certain medication, and there's some options out there I wanted to share. There's some programs that employees can go to directly, and there's some examples right there for you to look at. These examples that I'm sharing, a lot of them are advertised on TV and the radio, and they all provide access to the medication as well as the lifestyle management, which I think is really neat. When you go to one of these, let's pick Slim for Life, for instance, and I hear ads for Slim for Life, semaglutide every morning on my way to work. It's just like clockwork. But see, Slim for Life or Weight Watchers. Weight Watchers has a program that's a telehealth program in conjunction with their program, but you would meet with a dedicated guide or counselor. It's overseen by a physician, regular check-ins to monitor your success, your BMI going down, are you making good lifestyle choices? They'll help with diet ideas, ways to change your eating, encourage you to get out and move your body. So these are I think these are great options to consider. Some you may also want to look at incorporating one of these programs. So Noom Weight is new. There has been a app out there for just Noom, and it's kind of a behavioral modification to help you lose weight, make you become more aware of why you eat, when you eat, those sorts of things. But Noom Weight is going to take all of that and also include access to semaglutide and a lot of others. I'm saying that one in particular because it's what we're talking about today, but there are other options out there as well. But a lot of these, they're just for, direct to consumer. Noom Weight has an option, an employer sponsored option. It is not available in the KC metro area. I think I read that it's available right now in 37 states. So they're working on getting it out there for everyone. But something like that, you may want to look at incorporating that into a wellness program. If you don't have one right now, that's something that you may want to start a wellness program and start here, and subsidize the cost like you would any other wellness program. So like you would a gym membership, or reimbursement for participation in activities like Go 365. At the Miller Group, we have several perks, and two of them are just that. So if we're going to a gym or yoga or Pilates or anything like that, and we show that we've gone so many times in a month, we get reimbursed. We get reimbursed for part of that cost. Same with Go 365. You participate in the activities. You get reimbursed some of there's awards, there's prizes for doing that. So those are ideas to think about if you don't want to open it up completely, but you don't want to pay for it under your pharmacy plan or your insurance plan. This is a way to kind of offer, some cost sharing there. I'm thinking about something, but we may get to it right now. So there's some takeaways that I hope there's some things I hope you take away from the webinar today. So while Ozempic is only approved to treat type 2 diabetes, Wegovy and Saxenda are also GLP-1s that are currently available in the market. Drug manufacturers are spending big bucks to get more options to the market. So we talked about Eli Lilly. That's just one. And that figure I gave you was just through the end of August. So it's ever changing. There is a lot of investment from a lot of people to really address the obesity epidemic in the United States. If you check your insurance policy to see if it covers weight loss medications. I know we had a handful of people that weren't sure. If you're fully insured right now and your insurance carrier is covering them, I wouldn't be too surprised if, there's going to be an increase in costs in the short run until we get more options out there and get competition. If you're self-funded, take a look at your pharmacy plan setup. I think it's important to do that anyway, just to see what drugs are included and what drugs are excluded. Being self-funded, you have choices there. So you don't have to just do what the insurance carrier says. If those medications and you're self-funded, if they're currently excluded today, and you're considering adding them, analyze the potential cost impact. And that's something that many of you are in Miller Group clients already, and this is one of the services we provide. So I would say, go into that decision with as much information as possible, with your eyes wide open. So before we jump into the Q&A, I invite you to download our free pharmacy benefit guide. There's a QR code here. If you're not a QR code kind of person, we can follow up with a copy of it for you. This is a really good resource. It has good information on pharmacy benefit managers, and I think this is good for everyone. So if you're fully insured and you don't have choices, you get what you get. I think it's important to still know what's happening, what's happening with this pharmacy benefit stuff. So it's good there, and it's great for self-funded employers. So you can see how to choose a good PBM. What is the drug formulary? How did they come up with the drug formulary? It helps with how to evaluate plan designs. So there's a lot of good stuff in there. At least I think so, but I would. But, I invite you to take a look at it and review it. And if you have any questions about it, let me know. But so that's our gift to you. So thank you so much for spending time with me today and taking time out of your day to attend. So Amanda, I'll turn it over to Amanda. Do we have any questions so far?
Yes, yep, we have a few. First question is, as drugs like Mounjaro are approved for weight loss, will costs go down?
I would, the Mounjaro version, I wouldn't expect that. I would expect the cost to be pretty similar to what we're seeing today. As more and more of those medications come out, I would hope the cost would go down with more options. I would think that would happen just like anything else. And I'm really hoping that the tablet version, I hope that is less expensive like they're predicting.
Next question is, what is the current cost of Wegovy and Saxenda?
So they're both about $1,300 a month, give or take. That's the full price of the drug. So it's cash price, if you will. So they're very comparable. That's why I'm thinking that the Mounjaro version will also be comparable. Back to some of those programs that I was talking about that you may want to invite your employees to look at. They are interesting, and I haven't gone too far in looking at them, but I on the ads that I'm hearing, you can get semaglutide for as low as $29 a month, or so I don't know what those types of costs look like. I think they're probably a subscription type, monthly fee, and then there's the price. But long answer, but that's about what we're seeing right now.
Next question is off-label prescribing illegal?
No, it is not illegal. It happens all the time. This is just an example of where it rose to the surface, and now I don't know, people that didn't think about off-label prescribing, now it's front and center. But to answer the question, no, it's not illegal. It happens this particular time for Ozempic. It is, insurance companies are really cracking down to make sure that it's being prescribed for the right reason. If you're looking for a weight loss version, that's where don't look to Ozempic. Look at the other options, and hope another hope is by really whittling away at what's the intended use? Hopefully it will alleviate some of the drug shortages as well.
Okay, what are GLP-1s the same thing as insulin?
No. So GLP-1s help the body create insulin to lower blood sugar, but they are not the same thing. So
Okay.
insulin's insulin, and that is something that is not up for debate here.
Okay, last question. If you have any other questions, pop them in the chat real quick. Otherwise, the last question that I have presently is, how does the impact vary for self-insured companies versus fully insured companies?
So the impact is going to be very visible if you are a self-insured employer. Being self-insured, you get access to all your data, which is great. And so you're going to be able to see how many people are filling this medication. What is the cost of, what's your total cost, what's your total spend for this? You have decisions whether or not you can cover it or not. If you're covering weight loss medications today, then this is, part of the deal. But the implications on the fully insured side, and to be honest, I don't know how fully insured carriers are handling this. I'm not sure what they're doing as far as putting them on formulary or anything like that, but an employer doesn't have a choice in that situation. If you're fully insured, then, you're with Blue Cross or Cigna or whatever, if they decide to cover it and include it and put it on the formulary, then you're paying for it one way or the other.
We had another question come in.
Okay.
Why is it so hard to get insurance coverage on these medications for diabetics?
So I would look at it more as a barrier, not as a barrier. It's a step. There's an extra step there today that wasn't there before. And if someone is diabetic and needs Ozempic, they're going to be able to get it. There's a little bit of time baked in there to allow the pharmacy benefit manager to talk to the doctor, to get the chart notes, to be able to substantiate that, yes, this medication is being prescribed as intended to treat diabetes.
How long does a process like that take?
It is supposed to take 24 to 48 hours. Sometimes less. And it's really not, I think a lot of people get upset with the insurance, the pharmacy benefit manager, whatever the case may be. And their hands are tied when they ask for the chart notes and any other information that they need. They're really waiting on that physician to get back to them. And a lot of times, doctors get busy, and I don't know if they're not looking for the prior authorization request, or they just have so many. But really, that's where it may take a little bit longer, is just getting the information back from the doctor.
That's all the questions we have.
Okay.
So I think we'll wrap up. Tracy, are you ready to wrap up? For me to
Right.
wrap up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So yes, thank you everybody for joining us today. If you want to continue this conversation, or you have other questions to ask, you are welcome to reach out to Tracy, or if you're a client of the Miller Group, reach out to your account team. You will get a follow-up email, and so you'll be able to get in touch with Tracy. We'll give you her information, and it will also include a super fast survey if you will take 30 seconds to a minute just to let us know how you felt about today's webinar and if you found it valuable. So thank you to everybody for joining us. Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye, everybody.